I watch about 2 to 3 virtual events a week. So I have a couple great examples that I'm going to share of some groups who've already hosted their events, and then some of these successful strategies that we're seeing for virtual events. I have a presentation up here, gonna run through that and then hopefully have some time left at the end. So if you guys have any questions or have any upcoming events yourselves and want to chat a little bit about that, I hope we can touch on that. But I'm going to go ahead and get started and begin. So what I'm going to go over are 3 main topics. What are you going to want to do before your event, during your event, and after your event? So we're going to go over these, like I said, through a couple different examples from groups, as well as some best practices that we've seen. One thing that I can say is that nonprofits are finding that this new virtual fundraising is a either terrific or a useful complement to the traditional methods. It's really helping our organizations stay relevant and connected as they raise more money, as well as continuing to raise awareness for their causes. And some of the ways that they're doing that before their event is getting guests excited with these options here. First one we've got is choose your theme, set up a fundraising homepage, consider tickets, get sponsors showcased, silent and live auction items, and how are we publicizing your event? So before your event, what's been really helpful for our groups is selecting a theme. And these themes that I have seen have been party in your PJs, a Viva Las Virtual Vegas, virtual golf outing, and this next group that I'm going to share with you, virtual night in the winner's circle. This group was hosting an in-person derby event and then had to shift over to virtual. And I thought, what a great way of adding that little cell phone to their already done logo to make it more virtual. Part of their theme, they were encouraging their guests and everyone involved to send pictures from previous parties. They hosted derby hat making parties and how to bake DIYs. They also shared what they were going to wear to the party, and then encouraged folks to even come back and post after party videos. One of my favorite things that they did, though, in that bottom corner is where it says daylights are burning, get your bids in. 2 of the chairs dressed up and did a full derby background and did kind of a fun skit. And it really just got people excited for their virtual party. Moving into setting up a fundraising homepage. So what is a fundraising homepage? It is a place where all of your event needs can be put into one spot. This is really helpful for having the ease for your guests to navigate, as well as putting a lot of information into a spot about moving virtual. Think of your fundraising homepage as a brochure, something that you would hand out at your event. It's been really useful to put in agendas, and I'm going to walk through their example of their fundraising homepage. One thing that has been super important with moving to virtual is showcasing your sponsors, making sure that they're still getting the recognition that they would have gotten at your in-person. On their page, they did a little rosette around popular, or I wouldn't say popular, but higher sponsor groups. Some other groups have done logos of their sponsors with clickable links so that they're going to their website, as well as thank you videos. This group put together an amazing video where they thanked their guests, thanked the people who were involved, and had that on their fundraising homepage for people to go back to and pay attention to and play over and over again. Over here on the right side, you'll see a night in the winner's circle. This is where they went ahead and did an agenda and really laid out what you would have as a brochure at the event. Ask questions. So before they were done, they actually used this question box for asking for donate items. Do not hesitate to ask for donations. This is a great place to do it. And once they had gathered enough items, they went ahead and changed that to questions. Some helpful tips that we've been getting about auction items is look at past items that were successful. Think about more local and less international. So when it comes to traveling, look at your local artisans. We've had some incredible items come in with just local artists. There was a gentleman who did local honey for a year. So really focusing on more around the home, more for the home, definitely more experiences in the nearby area, and anything that has no expiration date or a very long expiration date. Moving past the items, they went ahead and featured a gift thermometer or gift crawler. This is a great way to go ahead and let your guests and donors know what the goal is that you're looking to raise for this event. And then they'll be able to go back and check that goal and see if they've hit it. There's also a way for your donors' names to be recognized. And they were huge with Facebook. So you saw the photos of them all dressed up. Well, leading up to their event, they posted something, if not every day, but every week. One of those was specialty items, really focusing on the items that they had, getting people excited for the event, posting videos. They really had a lot of fun. Some interesting things that I saw was them reaching out to the alma mater. So reaching out to past graduates and getting them excited about the event as well. Another way that they encouraged their folks to, oh, let me get this played for you for a second.
I'm so happy about this opportunity to tell you how thankful we are for your work to put this function together. You know, it's been so fun to see our trustees, our parents, our staff, and our administration come together and pivot from a gala to an auction. And with the leadership of Catherine Green and Maya Houston and some service that we can.
Let me go ahead and skip it through a little bit. It's quite long. There's a great way for them to say thank you and have up and play over and over. Another way to get people involved was with ticketing. So still consider ticketing as an option to your virtual event. They came up with a great incentive for their guests. So for the first 50 who purchased, they gave them these customized glasses and encouraged cocktails to be made, and they shared pictures. You also can sell your sponsorships ahead of time, making sure that your sponsorships have their showcase as well. Moving through the ticketing, some other things that we've seen that's been successful is keep it fun and keep it within themed. So if your in-person event hosted a cocktail hour where maybe there was a wine tasting, a specialty cocktail, past hors d'oeuvres, or maybe you had a seated dinner, consider including those in your ticketing. So offering, like they did, a pint glass, a little cocktail box to go, some dinner ideas. We've seen meal pickups. We've seen groups do Grubhub credits, but an incentive to really make it fun and within theme. More than anything, we want you to celebrate and just show and have fun with your virtual event. And lastly, share your success. This is really great little image that they put together that shows how they took 5 days, 110 hours, 14 hosts to put together their virtual event where they raised $225,000 and auctioned off 103 items. Being able to share your success is definitely something that keeps people thankful and gets that name out there on your social media. Now we're going to move on to during your event. So what are some successful strategies during your event? One is designing the experience. What are some of the links and party favors that you're going to include? How about a donation tracking, that animated give crawler? Activities, what is the online auction going to look like, as well as your live streaming? So for the live portion, what are we going to include, and how are we going to keep your guests all in one space? So this is one of my favorite groups who did their event based around the experience of a Zoom happy hour. This is BVMI, who hosted a virtual happy hour. And what they did is to stay within what we're finding is best is about an hour to an hour and a half for your fundraising virtual event. They decided, well, why not turn it into a happy hour? It was perfect for them because they wouldn't have to worry. They're in New York, in the area of high traffic, and they thought this is great. We don't have to worry about crowd control or traffic or the venue logistics. So they really made it an action-packed hour. With their happy hour, they hosted it through Zoom. And some fun things that they did was they sent out a package to all of their guests that was a party package. And they had two options. In the first party pack, they did a local hot pretzel and the brewery that they were sponsoring, as well as a little pint glass. And they really mapped out their virtual event, which made it successful. They started it with some live entertainment that was playing. Then everybody on the Zoom poured into their custom pint glasses, and they made a toast and a cheer. They shared their mission moment. The board gave quick speeches and then showed a give crawler where donations came in. And then at the very end of their event, they unmuted everyone on Zoom, and they had a live comedian come on. And it was so fun because we could hear each other laughing. It was just another great example of a group who really mapped out and created this great design experience. I'm going to share another group's video. This is a theater group, and one of the ways that they helped to design and really give you that mapped out experience was with their introduction video. I'm going to go ahead and play that for you now.
From George Theater, August 15, 2001. People are tuning in from all over the world. People of all walks of life. People who are young and people who are old. Watch and listen to experience not just non-stop entertainment. Enjoy delicious food and drink. Bid on one-of-a-kind auction items and support the work of the phenomenal mainstream players of the George Theater. Great talent is here in profusion from all over the country, including Fire on season 1 of NBC's The Voice. That's great talent. Star of Broadway's Jekyll and Hyde and Houston Road, Courtney Barker. Stars of 18 players basketball and Houston Powerhouses Chelsea McCurdy and Brooke Willis. National tour. I'm coming.
Another great way of keeping your guests, just like we were at your event, keeping them encouraged, besides doing dressing up and the incentives for ticket purchases and party baskets, as you saw, was including those live performers, but also having a donation tracker. So what these donation trackers are is they're more of a virtual donation where it's animated. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. But what this is great is it's taken the place of what was your in-person either paddle raise, fund a need, mission moment. What we're able to do is we're still able to see your donations come in and give that recognition to your donors. So I'm going to show you how a group did it here. They set a donation goal of $65,000. As those donators were coming in, the heart was filling up and the current total was raising. I'll also go ahead and play this video of a group or of a promo video that shows how in real time your donors are instantly thanked as well.
And live up here to the virtual bar. I'm getting myself ready. I represent Alvin Enterprises on can't wait to raise some very, very valuable money so we can keep doing what we're doing. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we move down into the fund and down to the next one, we're at the $1,000 level. For those correctly belonging again, there's a $1,000 button. Just go ahead and hit that and immediately go in there. Whether it's a business, whether it's a family legacy, whether it's a personal donation, your money is going to be so incredibly valuable. So thank you for that $1,000. It's going to mean so much.
So with that, you were able to get an instant thank you for that donation. Your name went up on the screen, that heart filled up. What's been really wonderful as well is you can sit there and say thank you as those names are coming in just as you would as your event. Some other ways that we're seeing that's been very successful is providing a little bit of a VIP experience. This is a group called Camp Southern Ground. They offered exclusive access for VIPs. So what they did is they had an exclusive access streaming code, which essentially gave virtual back passes that were unlimited to amount of people who were there. What was wonderful about this is you didn't have a limit. They were able to continue to offer these VIP experiences. And one of the things that they were also able to do was include a feature of a chat box so that those VIP users could ask the band questions, as well as purchase band memorabilia that was being offered, as well as doing donations. This video is quite long, so I won't play the whole thing, but I'm happy to share it for you later on. Here's some other great real-time that we can do. So I mentioned that chat box feature. I'm going to give you a shorter video of how that chat box works. But one of the things that's been great is giving your guests the chance to chat. So that's one of the things that we're all missing with going virtual and not being in person, is not seeing each other. So having a chat box so that you can send in your own messages, and you can also talk with your guests has been really fun. We've seen groups do virtual trivias, doing virtual Q&As, as well as sharing information that's coming up from their event. So think of this as your internal text messaging system where you can send out reminders of we're about to go live, or you can make a donation. I'm going to go ahead and play that video of how you can go ahead and do a chat box. And it looks like it's thinking. Let's see if we can get it to think a little faster. We might have to pass this guy. It looks like he's just having a hard time. So we're going to move on to managing the auction. So one of the things that virtual auctions allow is for you to reach out to a bigger pool of supporters, maybe guests who couldn't attend due to limited space or the day or time, or your ticket costs. You can also reach past your neighborhood, city, county, and state. And you really can get the word out through multiple channels. This has been done with the virtual auction area. And just as with an in-person auction, with your virtual auction, it still demands a lot of attention. So you want to keep your audience engaged and limit the amount of live items. So if you're doing a live auction, make sure those items are more between 4 and 5 and less between 7 and 10, unless you're focusing on more live auction items than the silent auction. One way that you can do that is provide a preview of those live auction items ahead of time. Also, with the live streaming, go ahead and set out a closing time. So don't be late. Make sure you get in on our silent and live auction. Another way that you can send out messages is letting groups know and your guests know about items that have no bids, or if you've reduced bids. With your live streaming, you want to give time for the items and your auctioneers to participate so you can see live bidders. So I'm going to show you also a video of a live auctioneer where the high bidder names are going to appear. This is kind of the same idea of that virtual give crawler. Being able to see names, call them out, is giving us that feeling like we're in person again. A little bit about the live auction that I've seen is do not set specific closing times that are too late. So when it comes to closing your auction, what we're seeing is doing it at least an hour after your event has ended, or closing it the next day so that your guests can check and place one last bid. We've seen some groups who have sent their auction closed a little too late in the evening, and a lot of questions came in, so you want to be able to do that as well. Another thing that I would mention about some successful strategies with your auction is considering pickup options early, putting those in the descriptions of the item or putting them on your homepage. One example is sending out a text notification, just letting your winners know that they would be notified immediately of when the auction closes, for example, at 2 p.m., and how you'll receive a text receipt or how they will receive their receipt, and then what you'll be doing to work with them directly for their items. Will there be a pickup, a scheduled drop-off, or will they be shipped? So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. It looks like it's just having this hard time. I apologize, but I will go ahead and talk about these screens down here at the bottom. One way about being virtual as well is you're going to be able to keep an eye on your event. So you can see what items are currently being bid on, as well as your overall totals. So if there are any items that are without bids, making sure that you're getting those bids out there so that guests know that there are items without bids, and encouraging your auctioneer, your MC, to talk about those silent auction items as well as those live items. All right, and then not always the favorite topic, but practice, practice, practice. We want you to have fun. Virtual fundraising is a lot of fun, and it doesn't have to be boring, but you do have to practice. Some tips that we found is go ahead and choose your host. If you are uncomfortable being that host, go ahead and look at some. There are a lot of great opportunities for that front-end person to be an MC who can highlight the activities, highlight those auction items, and really keep the party going. A host can be anyone. It can be someone from your organization, a professional auctioneer. You can have both. But what we're seeing is choose someone who has a lot of high energy, enthusiasm. Right now, keeping the virtual event light and fun has gone over very well. You're also going to want to think about your crew. So choosing your crew as who's going to be the person behind the scenes, who will be managing your fundraising tools, the technical details. Think of this if you're doing a DIY. What is the live streaming system that you're going to use? Will you be using YouTube, Vimeo, Twitch, Facebook Live, or Zoom? Or if you're uncomfortable about live streaming and the technical details behind it, look at some of your local audio-visual companies for assistance. I will say, as we do more and more virtual events, those outlets such as YouTube and Vimeo have a lot of great DIY videos on how you can do your own virtual event. Another great way is to write a script. It may sound a little bit overkill to write a script, but trust me, you are going to want one. Think of it just like as your in-person event, a live stream virtual event needs a schedule and a list of talking points. You're going to want to keep it short and simple. Listening to a word-for-word script for an hour, we have seen guests start to lose their attention. A couple ways for you to gather that attention and bring them back is add some options like having guest speakers, maybe showing a video of your cause or any urgent or critical needs, having live or pre-recorded entertainment like we saw with the that intro video in the Zach Brown VIP experience, host interactive costume contests such as the Derby group did, host trivias, raffles, and we're still seeing groups do wine pools, jewelry trees. Something that's new and coming and having a lot of fun is host viewing parties and have those viewing parties involved so that they can participate in live stream from their homes as well. We talked about those crawlers, making sure that you're sharing your donors and the amount that they've raised, showcasing your live and silent auction items. And with that, what I have really enjoyed is having a little bit more of those items displayed. So I've seen artists in real-time painting the picture that was going up for auction, or a chef who was going to do a at-home party. They gave him time to do a cocktail and a short cooking segment. And then again, going back to like BVMI's event with the brewery, toast to your success, have fun, say thank you to everybody who participated, to those who serve and the guests who support you. Virtual is still going to be fun for you if you put all of those practices into place. Now looking at after your event. So what does it look like to close your auction, collections, thank yous? What do we do now? So we talked already about closing your auction, not at peak times, such as dinner or bedtime. It's best to close within the hour of your live event or the next day. Some things to also think about, and this is the question that our concierge service gets all the time, besides how do I turn the volume up on our virtual stream, is that auction item pickup. I cannot say it enough. This is where we get the most questions. And by having the rules and registration all laid out on your fundraising homepage or on your social media or however you're sharing your event is crucial. This is a way that you can ensure that your guests can bid in confidence, and after they win, know what to expect. You cannot over communicate this. Some ways that we follow up is with text, email. Letting your guests know how they will be charged is also important. Letting them know if they will receive a receipt and how is that receipt tax deductible. You also want to keep your checkout fast. One way for groups to do this is requesting credit cards to be entered at registration. This gives you the opportunity to ask your guests later if they need to pay by cash or check. But believe me when I say having to invoice 100+ people after an event is not fun, trust me. So keeping credit cards on file gives you the chance to go ahead and run those cards. Personally, with my system, I can check out about 1,000 people in 10 minutes, where if I had to invoice them individually, it probably would take me weeks. And then lastly, thank you. Because we're not able to see you at the event and we're having to do this virtually, you cannot say it or share it enough. Sharing your success through your multiple platforms, send out personal thank you emails, letters, text messages, even a voice message has been really helpful. Continue to play your give crawler so you can share in your donation, the goal that you've reached or where you're looking to reach, and continue to recognize those donors. And a fun new trend that we've been seeing, and it doesn't have to and it doesn't happen instantly, but is sharing what you won. So a lot of the times you get to see your guests pick up their items, but now since we're all virtual, it's been fun to see these items popping up on Facebook groups or the group sharing them in news boards to show just where their items are. It's also a great way to continue promoting your event throughout the year, sharing how fun those auction items were, reminding your guests how fun it was, thinking about the future, and maybe even looking to have those items donated again. Because I know if I was the person who made that incredible birdhouse, seeing it up on Facebook and with that great little thank you would definitely want me to share or donate again. Tracking bids and donations. So this is where your event is not over. It's over, you've closed it, you've sent out your thank yous, but it's not over yet for you. A lot of our systems just gather as much crucial information from ticketing to all of your receipts. A lot of platforms will collect your donors' addresses, emails, and phone numbers. But more importantly, I love that it's tracking donor habits. So we can see where are they active within our events. What items were they enjoying and bidding on the most? What you can do is you can send out this information to potential sponsors or donors, or it's just a quick tool at hand to say thank you to those top donors, as well as looking at future events. So if you have a capital campaign coming up, maybe looking at those guests who made donations, get those first handwritten cards where the guests who participated in the auction can follow up. It's so much information that is gathered in virtual events. And when you work with CRMs like Charity Crowd, if you don't take this data and upload it, it's wasted, and it's truly gold. We want you guys to have it so that you can use it for future events, as well as for reaching out and keeping your donor database up to date. And that is my just demonstration here for successful strategies for a virtual event. I would love to now just talk with you guys and see, you're more than welcome to unmute Katie if that's okay, or they can send it in the chat box just to see what you're talking about for your virtual fundraisers, or if there's any questions. I'm happy to go over, and I can also go and track down those videos that weren't playing as well.
Sure. So we usually do a Q&A session at the end. I appreciate people who typed in some questions as they came to mind. We can just run through those first if you'd like, Bree. Nicole asks, is the gift thermometer something that comes with a membership to Qtego, or can we get that elsewhere? Do you know the answer
Great
to that?
question. So Qtego has multiple crawlers that are included in our packaging. That is the heart and star. We also have some custom ones, which have been great. One of the groups was a Boys and Girls Club, and every donation that came in, a balloon began to fill up. So you can do customized, but we do provide those for you.
Okay. Next, Taylor would like to know, are the videos featured in the webinar, so the videos you shared from some of your clients sending out messages, are they live clips, or are they pre-recorded to show during the event? Or do you do both? I don't know.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So if you are going to do pre-recorded, and some of those were pre-recorded, the best way to keep people engaged during a pre-record and to keep it feeling live is by including features like the chat box, having the heart crawler come up, but some of those were pre-recorded, and a lot of them are live. The live ones make us feel more like we're there. Don't be afraid to, if there's little slip-ups or mistakes, just like I had in my own presentation. It's one of the things that reminds us we're all human, we're all still here, and just to have fun with our events.
Okay, let's see. We've got another question here. Does Qtego help with those video production needs when pre-recording or filming live?
So what we do is we provide supervisors, and supervisors can either be remote or in person, and they're there to help with getting that live stream set up, as well as navigating the cards which are showing during your event. So if you're talking about a live auction item, having that live auction item appear while your auctioneer is talking so that your guests can bid, or when it's time for making those donations, they're in the back of that, moving it around so that the donation pops up, as well as the donation key, and sending out text messages. For the recording part, we are not behind the camera. That is going to be you guys or an AV company, but we do work hand in hand, making sure your run of shows go smoothly.
Okay, well, those are all the typed questions. Now, when I shared that you would be working on this with us today, I encouraged people to think about, are they considering transitioning their events online this fall? So if any of you came prepared with real examples, real scenarios of events you're trying to transition this fall, now's your moment. I would pick Bree's brain and see what she has to say. Nicole wants to know, is there a way to link a crawler to our Charity Proud event page, or does everything have to be done through Qtego? So I'll answer that one. Qtego is its own platform, and so you would do everything through Qtego when it comes to the actual event production. Now, if you wanted to, you could capture all of your event registrations on Charity Proud and then include in the email that people receive from confirmation of their registration, like, please say it's a silent auction. So you need to have people go and sign up on Qtego and go ahead and preload their credit card information so that that part's ready to go. So you would tell them, thank you so much for registering, and then here's your link for the next step, which is to get you set up to bid on items. So that's just one example, but I'm sure Qtego does their own registration pages as well. And if you wanted to do everything through Qtego, then how we would get that data into Charity Proud is through a CSV file. Hopefully one day we'll be able to have a full-blown API, but for now it would be a CSV file. Okay, any other questions? They're a shy bunch, Bree.
Well, what I can do, since in that presentation it was hard for me to play some of those videos, is I can share, for example, how that chat box feature works, as well as what it looks like when Qtego is on the back end and moving the cards around, which is what we call cards for our live auction. So I can do that for you.
Oh.
I'm going to go do it the old-fashioned way.
COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Fred Blankenship, your proud host for tonight's program. And please share your greetings with everyone and where you're tuning in from by spamming the chat box right there at the screen below. We want to know where you are and people want to know as well. And thank you for joining me tonight as we celebrate one of Georgia's most trusted healthcare systems, WellStar. Now, WellStar is something our community get well, live well, yes, and most importantly, stay well. So tonight,
So Taylor, you had asked about pre-recording. This was pre-recorded. This event had the chat box as well as the crawler to make it feel more live, but that was pre-recorded where, if I can get my auctioneer to play, he was completely live.
Someone asked, what is the cost for Qtego? And I imagine that that is variable based on the amount of tools and services that you need from Qtego. So I would encourage you to reach out to Bree directly with any questions related to pricing through an email so that she can share that with you offline. Angela wants to.
That is true.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything. So we do a lot of a la carte. What our pricing is it's completely customizable to your event. Each virtual event has its own needs, whether you guys are looking for a fuller protection or more a DIY, we offer all of
that. Okay. So I guess part of it also depends on how much work do you want to do, right? Like if you
yeah.
if you want to, you can pay them to do everything for you, and you could show up.
That is true. And a lot when we do in person, a lot of our clients prefer that because Qtego brings staff and equipment, so you guys don't have to worry about check-in, and you're actually enjoying your event. It's kind of fun to hear people say, I've never tried the food before until Qtego showed up. So we do try to take some of the load off of you guys.
Angela wants to know about selling auction items and charging through Charity Proud for different amounts depending on what item. How does this work? Angela, we are not an auction software program, and we have a very robust event module, but one thing we do not handle is like auction item inventory, bidding on things. You could always charge credit cards manually through Charity Proud for auction items that people have won at the end of the night. But I think an argument for utilizing a separate service like Qtego is that they can create like a page where all the auction items are featured and manage what the current highest bid is. And there's a level of dynamics that are possible when you do it that way instead of just having it on a page where people would add something to their cart. Would facilitate, I think, better results for fundraising because you have a competitive option for it. Oh, so your question is, how do you charge for items in Charity Proud? We used a Google form. If you would like to, you can charge credit cards manually in Charity Proud by clicking first on the donations icon on the navigation bar, and then clicking on credit card payments, and then make a payment, and you can create in a single action the charge you're pushing to your payment processor, a donation record generated by that credit card charge, as well as create a new constituent if you need to, or link the payment to an existing constituent. If you already have credit cards on file for the people attending your event, then you would just simply go to that person's constituent profile, open the details, click on the other info tab where that credit card information is saved, and then tell Charity Pride you want to charge that card, and then we'll let you do that. No, it's not a donation. That's true. You can always categorize something as non-gift in Charity Proud, which means it's not tax deductible. It is, however, a contribution to your organization, which is part of why we allow it to be in the donation section. But it is really strictly a contribution that does not have tax deductible value. People do still sometimes want receipts, and by charging credit cards manually in Charity Proud, you're able to generate those records. Okay. Nicole wants to know, are all of the features shown today included in the base package, or are they each add-ons? You guys really like Qtego. That's exciting. For example, would the text to give option be included? Oh, and then she said, never mind, you answered this. So I read that.
But on that question, we do have a platform that is just for text to give, where you can essentially just put up a crawler and have folks come in and donate. You can play a video if you want. So I did kind of touch on that, but not as much on the text part.
Okay. Are there any other questions? So I have a question, if nobody else has a question.
All right.
I don't know, because you and I have recently become acquainted, but I'm not the main person at Charity Proud who you converse with regularly. And I'm just curious, has Qtego built, or would you be interested in working with me to build an export file from Qtego that's formatted for Charity Proud already, just so that it's very easy for them to download from your system and upload into ours?
Great question. We are in the process of doing that. We actually have, so Qtego does have Charity Proud's platform for their CSV. And one of the things that we do, and it's a little hard to see on this here, but this is Charity Proud CSV, and here is Qtego's. What we do is we match that. So when your event is over, we're going to go ahead and make sure that those columns of the information that we gathered match with Charity Proud, depending on also what you're looking for. So if you only want to upload guests who made physical donations and were participating in winning an item, that's something that we're doing as well. So yes, we do that CSV file, but if there is a way to make it even easier, we are completely open to doing that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, ultimately, like I said, we'd want to do some sort of API maybe, but that takes time to build. So in the meantime,
yes,
if it could be something, if the client makes you aware that they use Charity Proud, then you go, okay, great. Well, you want to download this file then, and then all they have to do is go to the import page in Charity Proud and upload it. I think that would be a great and easy solution between the two systems. So that Taylor wants to know, can you share some of the most unique virtual event transitions you've seen so far? Just looking for some new ideas in the future. Are you asking me, or are you asking her? I can tell, oh, either, okay. So I'll go first. I've seen some people do really impressive things in response to the pandemic and everyone needing to be very far away from one another. One of the more unique things that I saw. I don't know if anyone from this organization is on this call, but there's a client that I work with in Florida, and it's called McDonald Training Center. And they transitioned their event that's normally a black tie event to a sort of gala at home experience. They encouraged everyone to dress up because everybody was going to be on Zoom, and they coordinated with a local restaurant as well as a local wine shop to, so sorry if you're a rural based organization, this is probably a more urban oriented success story. They coordinated with both a restaurant and a wine shop and took orders for food as well as wines that people wanted to have delivered, and then relayed that information that they'd collected using the Charity Pride event registration pages to the vendors, and the vendors then took care of having those things delivered prior to the party. So everyone got to kind of have that party vibe, and I think it was a pretty successful fundraiser for them. I've also seen, I've got another client that is a Habitat affiliate that is branding their annual event that's going to be virtual this year as around the idea that like everything is virtual reality. So we're not in reality right now, we're in virtual reality, and I think it's just really clever, and I've been very impressed with the branding that they've come up with for that shifted event on the fly. You'd think that they'd plan to have it this way. So those are some things I've been impressed by in the last 6 months. How about you, Bree?
So two of my favorite, the first one was, it was a run, a 5K, and their theme had always been a dog day run. I don't even know where that came from, but it has always been their name. And when they talked about canceling their event, one of the things that we thought of was, well, why don't we have fun with your name? And it was fun because they hadn't even thought anything about this dog day run. It was just kind of a name. So what they did is, to get people excited and start promoting it, was they hosted a contest. And a couple different contests were who can outrun the dog. And they had different, all different ages, kids, adults, different dogs. There were some dogs who, let me tell you, they shouldn't ever be running, to ones where I was surprised that you could even keep up with. And so that was one of the things that they did. Another group did a golf tournament. Golf tournaments have still been fairly easy to socially distance. There is the renting more golf carts, but for those who still wanted to stay at home, they did a virtual golf competition, and they sent everybody a box of golf balls and how to set up your own mini pet, so some AstroTurf, and set up a raffle pool as well for folks to challenge each other at home. So you saw people who were having to putt with a shovel or use their non-dominant hand. Just really, again, having fun with all of us just being at home.
Taylor says the dog run idea is great. How did they incorporate fundraising into the event concept? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so they then, the way that their 5K was, is it was kind of based on the honor system. You got to purchase make a purchase for the 5K and then track your running. They were voting on the, who could outrun their dog. So you had a picture of the dog, and then you could vote for the owner to see, yeah, I think John's going to be able to outrun the Chihuahua. And so they raised money through the vote, and then they raised money through the 5K purchase, which came with the t-shirt, and then you got to do the honor system and walk that 5K or run.
Yeah, and we've had a few clients do walkathons or virtual 5Ks over the summer here at Charity Proud as well. And that seems to be something that, I don't know how lucrative the fundraising is from it, but it certainly seems to be an engagement piece that people are responding well to, probably because outside is kind of the only safe place right now to get exercise.
Yeah.
And so I think people are eager to do that, and then it is a smaller registration commitment than buying tickets to a black tie event too. So it's also more accessible to people who normally might be priced out of your events.
Definitely. We even had a bike-a-thon, and the way that the sponsor tickets were, you could be a tricycle, you could be just taking off the training wheels, you know, speedster, roadster, and those were the levels that you could go ahead and participate. They also did a tracking system, so everybody was hooked up to essentially kind of like a GoPro and like a GPS, and so you could track how much people were biking. And then part of what the ticket was you got to watch a live entertainment and watch their video. But that was fun as well, just to see a bikeathon, which I have yet to participate in. So I loved that idea.
Any additional questions? It's been a really interesting presentation, and I appreciate, again, you're doing this for our client base and for anyone who's watching on the internet as well. I certainly feel like I've learned more about the complicated logistics of virtual events, and am interested to see if any of our clients choose to make an event virtual, what they come up with. I think that if necessity is the mother of invention, then it has sparked a lot of creativity for people, and that's kind of encouraging. But if no one else has any other questions, Bree, do you want to put your contact card back up for people before we go, just so that they have your information in case they missed it before? So I saw in the chat window some questions about pricing and what Qtego's menu of service options are. If you have any questions that are directly about Qtego, more that than strategy, although I'm sure Bree would be able to answer your strategy questions as well, then feel free to reach her here at the account information that you see displayed. And with nothing further, Bree, I appreciate your time. It has been lovely to listen and learn from you today. And thank you everyone for attending. We'll catch you here next month.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.